to say matters deeply to you. And if it matters to you, trust and believe it will matter to someone else. Going. So many people let nervousness stop them from stepping into their power, from owning their voice, going from walking into the room and saying, I belong here. But I'm here to remind you that your message is more important than your discomfort. Your calling is louder than your fear. You see, nerves don't mean you're unprepared. Nerves don't mean you're not qualified. Nerves mean you are alive. They mean your heart is in this, going. And the moment you stop trying to erase the nerves and start honoring them, something shifts. Because when you stop making nerves the enemy, you stop giving them the power to control your moment. The truth is, confidence doesn't come from being fearless. Confidence comes from walking forward with your knees knocking, with your stomach in knots, and still choosing to show up, still choosing to speak, still choosing to raise your hand and say, I've got something to say and I deserve to be heard. Think about the most powerful speakers you've ever listened to. Most of them didn't speak with perfect cadence or flawless grammar. What made them powerful was their truth. It was the rawness. It was the vulnerability in their voice. You could hear their heart. You could feel their passion. And that passion, that authenticity, that's what moves people. That's what makes people lean in. That's what sticks long after the speech is over. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the nerves to go away. Start talking now. Start sharing your truth now. Your breakthrough is on the other side of that uncomfortable moment. Nerves are not a sign to retreat. They're a cue to lean in. When you feel that tightness in your chest, going, don't pull back. Breathe through it. Ground yourself. Tell yourself, I was born for this moment. Say it even if you don't believe it yet. Confidence is not a destination. It's a decision. Every time you decide to speak in spite of the nervousness, you are choosing your growth over your comfort. You are choosing your future over your fear. And every time you do that, your nervous system learns that you are safe. You are okay. You are capable. Let me tell you something that changed my life. People are not looking for perfection. They are craving connection. And connection happens when you allow yourself to be seen, even in your nervousness, especially in your nervousness. When you let people see you sweat, when you let them hear the tremble, and you keep going anyway. They don't see weakness. They see courage. They see strength. They see themselves in you. And that's where the real magic lies. That's where hearts are touched and lives are shifted. Going. So the next time you're nervous, I want you to stand taller. I want you to smile bigger. I want you to acknowledge the nerves and then move anyway. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to hide it. You just have to keep going. Your story is not meant to sit in silence. Your journey is not meant to stay locked inside. Going. Somebody is waiting on your courage to ignite their own. Somebody is waiting to hear the exact words only you can say. Your nervousness does not disqualify you. It amplifies the impact when you choose to speak anyway. And when you finish speaking, even with the nerves still buzzing in your chest, you'll feel something sacred pride. Not because it was perfect. Not because every word came out smoothly, but because you did it. Because you chose bravery. going, because you let your voice matter more than your nerves. And every time you choose to do that again, your confidence grows. Your voice gets stronger, your message becomes bolder, and you become unstoppable. So speak. Speak even when your voice shakes. Speak even when you're scared. Speak because someone out there is waiting for the permission that only your voice can give. Practice isn't about chasing perfection. It's about giving yourself permission to grow. So many people think that confident speakers were just born that way, going like they came out of the womb with a microphone in their hand and charisma in their back pocket. But the truth is confidence is earned. It's built. It's stretched. It's refined over time. And the tool that does that refining is practice. Every time you stand up and speak, going, even if it's in your mirror or in your car or to your dog, you are building something inside of you that no one can take away. You are growing roots of self-belief, one word at a time. People get caught up in the idea that practice should make you flawless. But practice isn't about being flawless. It's about becoming familiar. When you rehearse what you want to say, you start to know it in your bones. It becomes a part of you. You can feel the message in your chest going. That's not because you memorized a script. It's because you lived in the words long enough that they found their home in you. And when your message has a home in your spirit, the fear can knock all it wants, but it won't shake your foundation going. The most powerful speakers I've coached didn't start off that way. They stumbled. They forgot lines. They doubted themselves. But they kept showing up. They kept practicing. They kept giving themselves grace while still demanding growth. That's the sweet spot. That's where confidence starts to bloom. Not in the absence of mistakes, but in the consistent decision to keep going anyway, to try again, to get back up. You want to be confident? Then be consistent. Be willing to practice like your future depends on it, because it does. When you rehearse, you build muscle memory. I'm not just talking about physical muscle. I'm talking about emotional muscle, the kind of muscle that lets you step into a room and carry your story without apology. The kind of muscle that knows what to say even when fear tries to steal your voice. The kind of muscle that stands tall even when your heart is racing. You don't get that kind of strength overnight. You earn it one repetition at a time. And don't just practice in the easy moments. Practice when it's uncomfortable. Practice when you're tired. Practice when you feel like quitting. That's when it matters the most. That's when you prove to yourself that you are serious about your voice, about your growth, about your impact. You are not just rehearsing lines, you are rehearsing courage. You are rehearsing leadership. You are rehearsing the version of you that shows up in every room like they belong. When you practice going, you're not trying to become someone else. You're revealing more of who you truly are. You're peeling back the layers of fear and doubt to find the confident communicator that's already inside of you. And that person doesn't need to be perfect. That person just needs to be committed to the process, committed to their message, committed to showing up again and again, even when it's hard, even when it's messy. Oh, even when the voice in your head says, Who do you think you are? Because here's the truth: when you practice speaking, you're not just preparing for a stage, you're preparing for life. For that moment when someone asks for your opinion, going. For that opportunity that comes knocking when you least expect it. For that conversation that can change your future. Practice gives you the power to say yes to moments that once terrified you, going. It gives you the confidence to stand in rooms you used to shrink in. It gives you the voice to speak when you used to stay silent. So practice like it matters, because it does. Practice with passion, practice with vision, going. Practice with the fire of knowing that every time you do, you're stepping closer to the powerful, confident version of yourself you were born to be, going. And when you speak after you've practiced not just the words, but the belief behind them, oh, you become unstoppable. You become unforgettable. You become undeniable. So don't aim for perfect. Aim for prepared. Aim for powerful. Aim for progress. Because that's where your confidence will find you, in the reps, in the work, in the growth. One word, one step, one practice at a time. Confidence is not born from trying to impress others. It is born from anchoring yourself in purpose, not performance. When you walk into a room thinking you have to deliver a perfect performance, you set yourself up for anxiety, going overthinking and self-doubt. But when you walk into that same room with your heart connected to your mission, when you know deep in your soul that your message can change a life, you stop performing and start impacting. Speaking with confidence isn't about dazzling people with your delivery. It's about touching them with your truth. It's about showing up grounded in why you're doing it in the first place. Too many people focus on how they'll be perceived. Will I sound smart enough? Will they like me? Will I forget what I want to say? But that mindset keeps your attention stuck on you. And the moment the attention is stuck on you, fear steps in. Nerves get louder. Doubt creeps in. But when you shift the focus outward, when you say to yourself, this is not about me. This is about the person who needs what I have to give. Everything changes. Now your fear has no room to grow because purpose has taken over the space. Purpose fuels courage. Think about someone you love. If they were in danger and needed your voice to save them, would you care how polished you sound? Would you worry if your words came out perfectly? No. You would speak with fire. You would speak with urgency. You would speak from a place beyond nerves. That's what purpose does. It bypasses fear and taps into power. So before you speak, ask yourself, why am I here? Who do I want to help? What shift do I want to create? Let that be your anchor. When you speak from purpose, your words carry weight. Even if you're nervous, even if you stumble, because people don't remember perfect delivery. They remember how you made them feel. Going, they remember the conviction in your voice. They remember the spark in your eyes. They remember that you showed up real, raw, and ready to serve. That is what changes lives. That is what opens doors. That is what builds legacy. You weren't put on this earth to perform for applause. You were put here to make a difference, to light up dark rooms, to speak life into tired souls, to bring your unique message into a world that desperately needs it. And when you anchor yourself in that kind of intention, you begin to speak from a place that fear can't reach. going. You speak from your soul. And the soul doesn't need validation. It already knows it belongs. Let me tell you something. People don't want to be impressed by you. They want to be impacted by you. And that impact starts the moment you decide your purpose is bigger than your fear. That purpose might be to inspire. It might be to teach. It might be to heal. It might be to encourage. Whatever it is, get clear on it. Speak from it. Let it guide your tone, your timing, your message, your energy. Let it be the fire in your gut when the butterflies try to take over. You'll find that the more you connect to your purpose, the less you try to control the outcome. You'll stop obsessing over how every word lands. You'll stop judging yourself in real time because now your energy is being used to serve, not to self-criticize. And service is where your power lies. When you're standing in service, you are in your highest vibration. You are magnetic. You are impactful. You are free. So the next time you feel nervous before speaking, don't try to push the nerves away. Just ask yourself, why am I here? And keep asking until the answer burns in your belly. Then speak from that fire. Speak with the knowledge that you're not here to impress the room. You're here to transform it. You're not chasing perfection. You're chasing impact. You're not performing. You're fulfilling purpose. And when you live and speak from that truth, confidence becomes your companion. Not because you're fearless, but because you're focused, not because you're flawless, but because you're faithful to your mission. Purpose doesn't just silence fear, it makes fear irrelevant. Because when you're standing in your truth, grounded in why you do what you do, there's no room for doubt. There's only room for growth, for service, for breakthrough. And that, right there, is where true confidence is born. Confidence doesn't begin when you seek approval from others. It begins when you decide to speak from your truth. There's a powerful shift that happens when you stop trying to craft the perfect image and start delivering your real message. The world isn't moved by perfection. It's moved by authenticity. And when you show up in front of an audience, whether that's one person or 1,000, and you let go of the need to be liked, to be praised, or to be flawless, you make room for connection. Real, honest, lasting connection. That's the kind of communication that touches hearts and changes lives. When you speak from your truth, you give yourself permission to be human. You're not pretending to be someone else. You're not dressing your voice up in what you think other people want to hear. You're standing in your story. You're standing in your growth. You're standing in everything that brought you to this moment. And that kind of honesty doesn't just draw people in, it frees you. It frees you from the pressure of performance. It frees you from the weight of trying to be perfect. It frees you to speak from a place of power. Now, let me be real with you. That's not always easy. Because we've been conditioned to believe that being liked is more important than being real. We've been taught to measure our worth by how many people applaud us, not by how true we are to ourselves. But confidence doesn't live in applause. It lives in alignment. It lives in those moments when you say what needs to be said, even if your voice shakes. It lives in the courage to tell your story, even when it's messy, even when it's still in process, because people don't connect to perfection, they connect to transparency. Going, you've got to stop trying to be who you think they want and start being who you truly are going. And that starts with giving yourself full permission to own your truth, own your pain, own your progress, own your joy, own your flaws, own your message. Because your truth is what makes you unique. Your truth is what makes your voice powerful. And when you stand in it, even if you're nervous, even if you stumble, even if you don't say it the way you rehearsed it, people feel that. They feel your heart. They feel your courage. And that's what leaves an imprint. When you're constantly chasing approval, you're handing your power over to someone else. You're letting their opinions determine your worth. But when you speak from your truth, you're standing in your own authority. You're saying, this is who I am. This is what I've walked through. This is what I believe. And this is what I have to offer. And even if not everyone agrees with you, that's okay. Because you're not here to please everyone. You're here to be real. You're here to be impactful. You're here to be free. Your truth doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It doesn't have to be polished to be effective. It just has to be yours. Oh, and then when you embrace that, your confidence grows. Not because you've become someone else, but because you've finally started embracing who you've always been. And the more you practice that honesty, the more natural it becomes. Speaking from your truth becomes your default, not your exception. And over time, you'll find that the fear of judgment fades because you've stopped judging yourself. Let go of the idea that you need to impress people. Let go of the fear that your truth isn't enough. You are not here to be a copy of someone else's version of greatness. You are here to deliver something only you can deliver. Your voice, your perspective, your lessons, your experiences, they are all part of the gift you carry. Don't water it down for approval. Don't dilute your message to make others comfortable. Say what you mean what you say. Speak with love, with respect, and with fire. But most of all, speak with honesty. Because here's what's true. The right people will be drawn to your truth. They will see themselves in your story. They will find healing in your vulnerability. They will find courage in your bravery. And even if your voice trembles, even if your hands shake, the power is in your presence. The power is in your decision to show up as you, not as who you think you should be. So speak from your truth, not for their approval. Speak with the confidence that comes from knowing you don't have to earn your place. You already belong. Breathe through it, don't battle it. Going. That's the secret to speaking with confidence. When nervousness shows up and starts to wrap itself around your throat, going. Too many people try to fight their fear like it's an enemy, like it's something that has to be conquered or destroyed. But fear doesn't respond to resistance. It responds to awareness. It responds to breath. Your breath is your anchor. It's your reminder that you are safe, that you are grounded, that even in the storm of nerves and adrenaline, you are still in control. You don't need to eliminate fear to speak with confidence. You need to create space for your power to rise, and breath creates that space. The moment your heart starts racing, going. The moment your palms get sweaty and your mind starts to spin, that's the moment you must pause and take a breath. Not a shallow, hurried breath, but a deep, intentional one. Breathe into your belly. Feel your feet on the ground. Remind your body that it is not in danger, that this isn't a threat. It's just a moment that matters, a moment that you are more than capable of meeting with grace. Because when you breathe, you reconnect with yourself. You come back into your body. You stop spiraling in your head and you begin to stand in your truth. Breath is not just about calming your nerves. It's about accessing your strength. It's the bridge between fear and confidence. When you're nervous, your breath shortens. Your voice rises. Your thoughts get cloudy. But when you breathe deeply, you slow everything down. You soften the chaos. You invite clarity going. And that's where your confidence lives, not in the absence of nerves, but in your ability to stay present in spite of them. Speaking confidently is not about pretending you're not scared. It's about being so grounded in your presence that fear doesn't shake your foundation going. People often think that nerves are a sign they're not ready, but that's not true. Nerves are a sign that you care going. They're a sign that something important is happening. If you didn't care, you wouldn't feel nervous going. So instead of trying to get rid of the feeling, learn to breathe with it. Let it sit beside you, not in front of you. Let it be a companion, not a captor. Fear will walk into the room with you, but it doesn't get to hold the mic. That belongs to you. And your breath is what keeps that mic in your hand. This is why breath work isn't just some spiritual or yoga thing. It's a life tool, a speaker's tool, a survival tool. Before you step onto a stage, into a meeting, or into a difficult conversation, pause and breathe. Center yourself. Fill your lungs with possibility. Exhale doubt. Inhale power. Exhale fear. Your breath is your preparation. Your breath is your weapon. Your breath is your ally going. You've got to stop thinking of confidence as something that happens after fear disappears. Going. Confidence is what happens when you say, I feel the fear and I'm moving forward anyway. And the breath is what allows you to take that first step. One breath at a time, one word at a time, one moment at a time. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes going. You'll find yourself grounding in the middle of chaos. You'll feel your voice settle even when your heart is racing. You'll recognize the fear and still choose to speak with clarity and strength going. The breath teaches you that you don't have to panic just because your body is reacting. You don't have to attach a story to your nerves. You can simply observe the feeling, breathe into it, and keep going. That is power. That is emotional intelligence. That is the practice of grounded confidence going. Because when you're rooted in your breath, you don't need to fake anything. You don't need to force anything. You just show up real, connected, and present. So breathe. Not just before you speak, but while you speak. Between the sentences. Between the stories. Use your breath to slow down, to center, to bring your full self into every word. Let it carry your message. Let it hold your intention. Let it guide your energy. You don't have to battle the fear. You just have to breathe through it. That's where your calm lives. That's where your strength lives. That's where your voice rises. not from perfection, but from presence. And presence is the birthplace of true, unshakable confidence. Silence the inner critic and amplify the inner coach. That's the move if you want to speak with confidence when nervousness tries to grab hold of your spirit. You see, going before a single word leaves your mouth, before you even stand in front of that audience or sit across from that person, there's already a voice speaking, and it's the one inside your head. That voice can either tear you down or build you up. It can remind you of your past failures or call you into your future greatness. And the power to choose which voice you listen to, that belongs to you. Most people have been living with the inner critic for so long that they don't even question it anymore. It says things like, "You're not ready. You'll mess this up. They're not going to take you seriously," or, "Who do you think you are?" And here's the truth. The inner critic isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to protect you. It learned somewhere along the way that safety came from staying small, from avoiding risk, from blending in. But growth doesn't live in safety. Impact doesn't live in silence. And confidence doesn't grow in the shadows. If you want to speak with confidence, you've got to turn the volume down on that old narrative and tune into a new frequency. The frequency of your inner coach. That inner coach doesn't lie to you. It reminds you of your strength. It reminds you of the work you've done. It reminds you of the lives you're here to touch. It says, "You've got this." It says, "You've prepared for this." It says, "Even if you're scared, you're still powerful." That's the voice that speaks truth to your potential. That's the voice that fuels confidence, not because it erases fear, but because it reminds you of what's real. So how do you make the shift? You begin by noticing. Notice when the inner critic shows up. Don't judge it. Don't panic. Just notice it. Then challenge it. Ask yourself, is that thought helpful? Is it kind? Is it true? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. And once you've challenged that thought, replace it. Speak a new message. Speak like your best friend would speak to you. Speak like a loving coach who wants to see you win. Use your voice to guide yourself into courage. This isn't about pretending, and it's not about standing in front of the mirror saying empty affirmations you don't believe. It's about practicing new language that tells a new story. Instead of saying, "I'm so nervous, I'm going to fail," you say, "I'm feeling nervous because this matters to me and I can handle this." Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," you say, "I'm growing every time I show up, and that's more than enough." The inner coach doesn't need you to be perfect. It just needs you to be honest, compassionate, and committed to the truth of who you are becoming. And here's the magic: the more you practice listening to the inner coach, more natural it becomes. The louder it gets, the quicker it responds when doubt creeps in. Eventually, that voice becomes your default. It becomes the first one you hear instead of the critic. And when that happens, confidence starts to feel like your home, not a costume you put on when it's time to speak. It becomes part of your identity, not just a fleeting feeling. You are not the sum of your doubts. You are the sum of your courage, your growth, your voice, your power. But you've got to remind yourself of that again and again and again, because the world won't always do it for you. And when you stand in front of others to speak, the only validation you need is the one that already lives inside you. The validation that says, I'm worthy of being heard, going. I'm allowed to take up space. I have something valuable to say. So let the inner critic retire. Thank it for trying to protect you, then release it and step boldly into the voice of your inner coach. Let that voice guide you when you speak. Let it be the one cheering you on when fear starts to whisper. Let it be the reason you breathe deeper, speak clearer, and stand taller. Confidence doesn't come from waiting for silence in your mind. It comes from learning which voice to listen to and choosing the one that calls you higher. That's how you move forward, even when you're nervous. That's how you speak, not just with words, but with power. Turn every talk into a conversation, not a performance. That's the mindset shift that changes everything when it comes to speaking with confidence, even when you're nervous. Too many people step into speaking moments thinking they have to perform, as if they're on a stage being judged by a panel. That pressure to get it right creates anxiety, tightens the chest, and disconnects you from the very people you're trying to reach. But when you reframe the moment, not as a performance, but as a conversation, you invite connection. You create space for authenticity. You let go of the mask and start showing up real. And that's when your confidence begins to rise. Not because everything's perfect, but because you're finally present. Conversations are natural. They're human. They're fluid. And the moment you treat your speaking like a conversation, you allow yourself to be in the moment rather than rehearsing every line in your head going. You become more focused on being understood than being impressive. That shift brings peace. It brings ease. It brings freedom. And people can feel that. Audiences, no matter how big or small, don't want to be talked at. They want to be spoken with. They want to be brought into the experience, not left on the outside watching a show going. The moment they feel like they're in a conversation with you, the more they trust you, the more they hear you, the more they believe you. When you start thinking of it as a conversation, your nerves don't have as much room to take over. You're not trying to deliver a perfect speech. You're sharing something meaningful. You're expressing your thoughts, going, your truth, your lessons. Think about how you speak when you're talking to someone you love. You're not worried about perfect wording. You're not trying to impress them. You're just trying to connect. You're trying to communicate from the heart. Going, that's the sweet spot for confidence. When you stop trying to perform and you start trying to connect. One of the best ways to bring this shift into real moments is to remember that you're talking to people, not roles. They're not just the audience. They're human beings, each with a story, each with their own fears, their own hopes, their own struggles. When you look out at them or think about them, if you're on a call or writing an email, see their humanity. Speak to that. Speak like you would if it were just you and one person sitting across the table. That one simple visualization can shift your energy and help you relax into your own voice. And it's okay if you pause. It's okay if you don't have the perfect word. Conversations have rhythm. Sometimes you pause. Sometimes you repeat yourself. Sometimes you stumble and then laugh. That's all human. That's all part of connection. When you stop demanding performance, level delivery from yourself, and start allowing the conversation to flow naturally, going, your confidence grows because the pressure eases. You're no longer trying to be someone else. You're being you, going. And that's always enough. This is also how you create room for others to feel safe around you. When you speak with openness and ease, others feel invited in. They feel like they can be themselves too, going. And that's one of the greatest gifts of confident communication, not just making yourself feel powerful, going, but giving others permission to do the same. When you show up real, you let others drop their guard. You become a mirror of possibility. That's not just speaking, that's leading. Confidence doesn't come from pretending to be above the people you're talking to. It comes from standing beside them, walking with them, sharing from a place of, I've been there too. When you speak from that place, you stop needing applause, you stop chasing approval, you start seeing the nods,